Amy's final moments on this earth were to solve this case for us. Those were the words of Austin Police Cold Case Detective Daniel Jackson, speaking at a press conference in September 2025, 34 years after the crime. The girl he was talking about was 13 years old when she was killed. Her name was Amy Ayers, and the evidence she left behind in her final moments is the reason this case was ever solved at all. This is the story of one of the most complicated cold cases in American history. A case that produced wrongful convictions, coerced confessions, a decade of wrongful imprisonment, and a serial killer who died believing he had gotten away with it. Welcome to The Dark Verdict.
North Austin, Texas. Friday, December 6th, 1991. The I Can't Believe It's yogurt shop on Guadalupe Street was winding down for the night. 17-year-old Eliza Thomas and Jennifer Harbison were on the closing shift. Jennifer's younger sister, 15-year-old Sarah Harbison, and their mutual friend, 13-year-old Amy Ayers, had stopped by to walk home with them after closing. That night, the front door key was found still in the lock, a sign that whoever entered that shop never gave the girls a chance to leave. When a patrolman spotted flames coming from the building, firefighters arrived to find the bodies of all 4 girls inside, bound, shot, and the building deliberately set on fire to destroy the evidence. 2 different types of gunshot wounds were identified on the victims, indicating 2 different firearms had been used. What investigators recovered from the scene was limited. A bullet casing found in a floor drain and biological samples taken from the victims. It wasn't much, but it would be enough 34 years later. The Austin Police Department assembled a dedicated task force. Over the next several years, detectives followed thousands of leads. Dozens of people confessed to the crime. Every single one was discredited. 8 days after the murders, a 16-year-old named Maurice Pierce was stopped at a nearby mall, carrying a loaded .22 caliber revolver. He told police he had loaned the gun to a friend named Forrest Wellborn, and that Wellborn had used it at the yogurt shop. 2 more names surfaced, Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott, both 17 at the time. All 4 were brought in, questioned, and released. No physical evidence connected any of them. The case stalled for 7 more years. In 1998, a new task force was organized to re-examine the evidence. In September 1999, Detective Ronald Lara conducted a follow-up interview with Michael Scott. What followed was an interrogation that lasted more than 18 hours. By the end of it, Scott had confessed, telling detectives the 4 had gone to the shop to commit a robbery and that it turned fatal. Separately, Detective Merrill flew to Charleston, West Virginia, where Springsteen was living, and obtained a videotaped confession from him as well. By October 1999, all 4 were charged with capital murder. Pierce and Wellborn's charges were eventually dismissed for lack of evidence. Robert Springsteen went to trial in May 2001. The prosecution argued his confession contained details only the real killer would know. His defense said the confession was coerced, that detectives had fed him the details he repeated. The jury convicted him. He was sentenced to death. Michael Scott's trial followed in September 2002. His 8-page written confession was read aloud to the jury. Scott was also convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Both men recanted almost immediately, but their words alone weren't what would unravel the convictions. It was the science. In 2006, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals overturned Springsteen's conviction, ruling that prosecutors had violated the Sixth Amendment's Confrontation Clause by using one man's confession as evidence against the other without allowing cross-examination. Scott's conviction was overturned on the same grounds in 2007. Both men were facing retrial. In preparation, prosecutors ordered new YSDR DNA testing in 2008, a method that isolates and extracts male DNA from mixed biological samples. The results were definitive. DNA from an unidentified male was found on evidence collected from multiple victims. A second unidentified male profile was recovered from clothing used to bind one of the girls. None of those profiles matched Scott. None matched Springsteen. None matched Pierce or Wellborn. On June 24, 2009, both men walked out of Travis County Jail. The charges against them were formally dismissed in October 2009. They were not yet exonerated. Their names were not legally cleared, and the real killer, whoever left that DNA, was still unknown. Born in 1958 in Newport News, Virginia, Robert Eugene Brashers had a criminal history that stretched across multiple states. In 1985 in Fort Pierce, Florida, he shot a woman twice after she rejected him. She survived and identified him. He was convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to 12 years. Released in May 1989 on good conduct. After his release, DNA would later link him to the 1990 murder of Genevieve Zatricki in Greenville, South Carolina, in February 1992, just 2 months after the yogurt shop murders. He was arrested in Cobb County, Georgia, found with a stolen vehicle, stolen firearm, a police scanner, and burglary tools. After his release in 1997, he committed further violent crimes across Tennessee and Missouri. On January 13, 1999, police tracked him to a motel in Kennett, Missouri. During the standoff, he released his family, then shot himself with a .380 caliber firearm. He died 6 days later, on January 19, 1999. The same year, 2 innocent men were being convicted of his crime. In 2018, forensic genealogist C.C. Moore, working with Parabon NanoLabs, used investigative genetic genealogy to link Brashers to murders in Missouri and South Carolina. Missouri authorities exhumed his remains. DNA from his bones confirmed the matches. Austin investigators were not yet connected to those findings. That changed in the summer of 2025. Cold case detective Daniel Jackson submitted the .380 bullet casing, recovered from the drain inside the yogurt shop, to the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, a federal database that matches firearms across crimes, using the unique marks a gun barrel leaves on a casing. The results were consistent with the .380 firearm Brashers used to kill himself in 1999. Then came the DNA. In August 2025, South Carolina officials notified Austin detectives. That DNA taken from under Amy Ayers' fingernails matched Robert Eugene Brashers, linked to his 1990 murder in South Carolina. On September 26, 2025, the Austin Police Department officially named Robert Eugene Brashers as the perpetrator of the yogurt shop murders. Austin lost its innocence the night those young souls became victims, said Mayor Kirk Watson. Today was a long time coming. In February 2026, Judge Dana Blasey formally declared all 4 wrongfully accused men innocent. Springsteen, Scott, Pierce, and Wellborn. Their records cleared. Their names restored. In May 2026, the city of Austin agreed to a $35 million settlement. Compensation for years of wrongful prosecution and for Springsteen and Scott, nearly a decade behind bars for a crime they did not commit. At the press conference, Detective Jackson said that Amy Ayers, the youngest of the 4 victims, had provided the biological evidence that broke the entire case open. Her father, Bob Ayers, said he had never been so proud of his daughter. Sonora Thomas, Eliza's sister, said the announcement brought something unexpected. "I now know what happened," she said, "and that does ease my suffering." The yogurt shop murders is a case that shows exactly how an investigation can collapse. Coerced confessions treated as hard evidence. 2 men convicted without a single piece of physical evidence. And a real perpetrator who died believing he was untouchable. It is also a case that shows what preserved evidence and advancing science can do. A bullet casing in a drain. A fingernail sample in a freezer. 34 years. Robert Eugene Brashers died in 1999 believing he had escaped accountability for everything. He was wrong about Austin. If you believe victims deserve more than a headline, and that the truth should never stay buried, this is your channel. Subscribe to The Dark Verdict. New cases every week. Hit the bell. Every case matters.